What's going on, everybody? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I am here with Season 5, Week 5 of the Pokemon Premier League Division 1. This week against the man himself, Schady, and his Bayern Mewnich. Really excited for this game, but looking forward to this game since I joined the league in the first place, probably more than any of the other games I'm going to have this season. He is truly one of the best in the format, especially last gen, and he's done pretty well this gen too overall, so it's definitely bound to be a good game for sure. But before we go any further, make sure to check out the links in the description below. There you'll see a link to all the channels of the PPL coaches. Pay extra close attention to, of course, Shady's link, my opponent in this match, as I'm sure you will enjoy his content. He's one of my favorite draft content creators as well, so make sure to give him a look for sure. Also, the links to other PPL related content down there. And there's not a link to this in the description below, but if you didn't see last week's battle against Polymac, also make sure to check that out if you're interested. Not my finest performance ever. I didn't really feel like I played anywhere close to what I'm capable of in that game. We did end up losing that game and dropped to a 2-2 record with a 0 differential. So basically starting back over at square one. Not exactly where we want to be in a season that doesn't have playoffs, where you just need to win the outright regular season to be able to win the championship. So not exactly in the best spot at the moment, but if we're able to pull off the win this week, we are at worst one game out of first place based upon how all the other results have happened this week and last week. We are at worst one game out of first place if we win against Schady. So this game is huge, to say the least. But let's go ahead and take a look at this matchup a little bit, as my opponent has this disgusting core of Jirachi, Mega Charizard X, Tapu Fini, where Jirachi is a Z-eligible Pokemon. That thing is just flat out disgusting. It's pretty much a perfect core. The only thing really wrong with it that I see at face value is there's no resistance to ground attacks there, which makes Diggersby kind of happy. But even so, that core is a major threat, and I do expect him to bring all three of those Pokemon because all three of them match up at least decently well against my team. So definitely a potential threat there just through that core. But he also has Dugtrio, which can trap a lot of my switch-ins to Superior, his next mon. So that core is also a bit of an issue for me defensively. I do have ways to deal with it here. I've prepped heavily for that core, but I'll just show you what I decide to bring for that here shortly. But he also has Medicham, Seismitoad, Aerodactyl, which is the-eligible, Rotom Ghost, Skuntank, and Glalie. So he has what was pretty much unanimously the best draft this season. I think I even said that in my draft analysis, that I thought Schady had the best draft. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge for sure this week, both based upon the draft and based upon the caliber of the players. So really looking forward to this challenge though, for sure. But as for the I guess the bigger threats on my team to his, he doesn't have much to switch into Diggersby. That said, his entire team outspeeds Diggersby. So that's a little frustrating that I'm not able to really even consider a setup Diggersby or consider a banded Diggersby or something that's not Choice Scarf. When everything outspeeds me, there's simply no point unless I'm trying to run Trick Room on something too. So if I were to bring Diggersby, it does have to be Choice Scarf in this matchup. There's really no question there. Other pretty big threats to his team, I would say my Thundurus is an above average threat to his team. Not as big of a threat as it is in some other matchups, just because he does have things like the Seismitoad, the Superior, which outspeeds me, and the Mega Charizard X, which typically can resist or at least only take neutral damage from a from a Thundurus. Sorry, a little nervous before this game, but yeah, so he has some decent responses to the Thundurus. That said, it's still a pretty big threat to his team, especially if I slap a Choice Scarf on that as well. And you'll see a little bit of a trend here with my offensive threats and holding Choice Scarfs. It's a very unique build that I'm going with this week, and I feel like it's necessary for the type of battle that we're about to have, I think. But I'll talk more about that here very soon. The other notable threat, not really a threat, but more so a necessity against this team, is the Mega Slowbro, in that he has a Mega Charizard X, and if you remove Mega Slowbro from my roster, my Mega Charizard X switches don't exist. So there's a lot of pressure on Mega Slowbro to be able to deal with Mega Charizard X. That said, I know that he knows that, and I know he's probably going to bring a Zard that can deal with Slowbro. What that does, though, is that takes pressure off of my other mons, because if he's bringing a set that deals with Slowbro, it is unlikely that that set also has Dragon Dance. And my team is designed to be able to deal with either a DD Charizard X or a Charizard X that has a way of dealing with Mega Slowbro. That could be Belly Drum, that could be Sword Dance, that can be something as cheeky as Fire Spin, like Sunny Day Solar Beam. I don't know, there's a lot of options he could do, even like Spadef Toxic Roost. There's a lot of ways at least 3 ways that Charizard X can beat Mega Slowbro. So definitely want to see, I guess, scout him out. I'm not really scared to go into Mega Slowbro immediately on Zard. If he does trap me, that just means, like with a Fire Spin set or just sets up a Belly Drum or something, then that just means he's probably not going to be able to get a speed boost, which means that my other mons will be able to revenge him with relative ease. So I think we should be in good shape on that for sure. That's really all I want to say at this point. Let's take a look at the team. And as you can see, starting off with a Mega Bro, no surprise here, with the Foul Play, Psy Shock, Ice Beam, and Slag Off, pretty much full Fizz Def, and I need to be full Fizz Def so that I can survive an Adamant Outrage in my base Slowbro form, a 2-hit KO basically from an Adamant Outrage, and starting in my base Slowbro form as I switch in, and then as I Mega Evolve on the second Outrage, I'll be able to live guaranteed and heal up on that. So that's the idea there. Foul Play is mainly there because it's a better way to respond to Swords Dance Charizard, as well as if he were to run like Memento Dugtrio and try to trap my Slowbro, weaken it, and then set up on me with like a sub DD Zard. Foul Play still operates just as well through Memento since it uses my opponent's attack stat instead of my own. So that's just a kind of cool countermeasure to that. Sight Shock and Ice Beam for general coverage against his team. Mega Slowbro hits plenty hard. I don't need any offensive investment to be able to use those 2 moves effectively. It's just general coverage. I didn't really feel a need to run Calm Mind, as I would be much more interested in keeping my Mega Bro healthy for the Zard. And like I said, I do kind of expect to just be able to attack and recover with this thing whenever I'm in the face of the Zard. I can't really spend turns going for setup moves against a threat like that. So that was the general thought with this. And then, of course, recovery. I am running 0 IVs and Relaxed Nature just because I underspeed his entire team anyways. And on the off chance that he tries to bring something super cheeky like Trick Room, then it's nice to just have things like guaranteed outspeed his entire team under Trick Room. So that's the idea with this. I also do this with Clefable, which I'll show here in a bit. But here is the Drapion. This is a Shed Shell variant just because I can't afford to let this thing get trapped by Dugtrio. And if he does think he has me trapped, I might be able to get a free switch into something like my Thundurus, or a free switch maybe into my Slowbro, or even my Decidueye, which does resist the Earthquake. So just a thought there, but I do have 3 coverage moves on this, and Knock Off, Earthquake, and Poison Jab. All of them are pretty essential, as this is my best switch into Skuntank, as offensive Skuntank's actually kind of a threat to my team the more I look at it. So having a pretty good switch into it here is essential. Poison Jab for the Superior, as this is a pseudo Superior check as well. As being able to hit the Tapu Fini super effectively, of course, which is always nice. But the most important part of this set is the Toxic Spikes, as if I'm able to get Toxic Spikes up, the Tapu Fini will get worn down. A lot of his team actually gets worn down, but most notably the Tapu Fini. That's the true reason why I have them, as I do need some chip damage on Fini before I can O-coat with anything on my team. So that's the best way of getting chip damage on it without losing a Pokemon in the process. So pretty important set overall. Primarily offensive investment here. It's outspeeding the Rotom Ghost if he has max speed, as it's just nice to have those ways of outpacing. I'll be able to knock off a potential Colbur Berry, freeing things up for my Diggersby later on. So that is the Drapion. Next up is the Clefable. This is excuse me, got something in my throat. This is one of my responses to Superior depending on his set. I know that there are a few ways that Superior can deal with Unaware Clef, but that's not this thing's only purpose. It's also a Stealth Rocker, a very important Stealth Rocker, as Schady is not really known to bring hazard removal, and if he does, it's probably going to be on the Fini. He might bring it on the Skuntank, but I don't know. I feel like offensive Skuntank's a little bit better, but either way, it doesn't really matter too much in that case, as I'll try to get my rocks up. Moonblast hits his whole team pretty hard. He has a couple resists to it, most notably Jirachi, but even if I brought Flamethrower, it wouldn't do too much to Jirachi anyways, and there's a good chance that if he brings in Jirachi on Clef, it's probably going to click Substitute or some sort of setup move, so I plan to Encore him into that in that case, as long as it's worth the risk of losing Clefable on that turn. And that explains the Encore, and then Moonlight for obvious recovery. Again, Sassy Nature, dropping my speed just in case he has some Trick Room somewhere. And the Fairy Z boosted Moonblast is there to make sure that I am not set up fodder for Charizard, regardless of my Unaware ability, as regular Charizard X is able to set up in the face of Clefable and still do 80% or so with Flare Blitz, despite the fact that it won't have its boosts, courtesy of Unaware. So I felt that was pretty essential. It's also nice to hit the Surf a little bit harder if it becomes a little bit of a problem or something else on his team. Just anything. It's nice to have one super powerful option, and I felt like Leftovers wasn't absolutely essential here in this game. So Next up is the Diggersby on a Choice Scarf, like I already talked about earlier. So this is pretty standard. Return, U-turn, Earthquake knockoff. About as standard as it gets, honestly, but it's still really good against this team. It just comes down to making proper predictions, trying not to leave myself out to dry against things like the Rotom, the Aerodactyl, his 2 responses to my dual stab. It does kind of suck that he has 2 responses to both my normal and my ground stab, but even so, this is solid against him for sure. Earthquake is pretty spammable against this team outside of those 2 mons. Even against Superior, it does a lot of damage. And of course, Return hits everything but the Rotom, so definitely pretty good there. But most of the time, I'll be clicking U-turn, unless it's a situation where I can't afford to click U-turn, in which case I'll probably click Earthquake. So that's the general idea there. Nothing too surprising there, I'm sure. Next up is the Thunderous, also Choice Scarf, like I already somewhat alluded to earlier, with U-turn, Thunderbolt, Grass Knot, and Dark Pulse. So yeah, this has nothing to hit Charizard, so I do need to be very careful and not allow Charizard to come in on this for free unless my Mega Bro is super healthy and able to deal with it. So that's pretty important there. But this does outpace a modest Seismitoad in the rain, just in case he decides to bring Seismitoad. I can't physically outpace a timid Seismitoad in the rain, so if he brings Timid, then good on him. Timid just means I'll be able to take the hits a little bit better with some of my fatter stuff, like the Clef, the Slowbro, and the Decidueye. So I think I kind of have that in check. There's not a whole lot I can really do about Seismitoad in the rain outside of keeping specific mons healthy to be able to take the hits. So just need to be very aware of that throughout the battle to make sure I'm not going to leave my whole team in range of Life Orb boosted hits from Seismitoad in the rain. So otherwise, though, very, very good against this team. It's nice to have another way to outspeed Superior, as Superior does outspeed my entire draft, so having double Scarfers here is certainly useful on that. But why stop at 2 when you can have 3? So we are running Choice Scarf to Decidueye as well. So triple Scarfers coming out here this week with U-turn, Spirit Shackle, Leaf Blade, and Brave Bird. If I get down into Overgrow range, Leaf Blade is super good against this team. Outside of the Charizard and the Jirachi, Leaf Blade hits everything very hard. I guess outside of Skuntank as well, but you know, otherwise it's really, really good for Leaf Blade spam. But even just having another U-turner, fast Brave Bird to help again with Superior, and just Spirit Shackle to help check any form of Jirachi is really, really useful. Unless he's Scarf Jirachi, which if he brings that, then he's trying to flinch me down. Screw you, Schady. But it'll help for sure with checking any other form of Jirachi. Now, another thing on this, again, I don't have much to hit Zard with, so I need to play this very carefully as well if my Mega Bro is weakened. But if Mega Bro is healthy, then I should be able to click pretty much anything I want to, at least until I know what kind of Zard set he is, and then I can play accordingly based upon that. So this is Max Max, because I need Max Max to be able to outpace Aerodactyl with a Choice Scarf. I believe that was the reasoning. I think that's right. But yeah, that's all there really is to say on this. So that's the team. Triple Scarf with Toxic Spikes, and then a Wall Cord, Mega Slowbro, Clef. I think it's pretty solid. I tried many different combinations here for the building. I struggled so much with Superior when I brought Keldeo. Keldeo on paper has an amazing matchup, but it lures in Superior every time. And I don't have switch-ins for Superior. I straight up don't. So I needed to build a team that limited switch-ins for Superior. And Triple Scarf definitely allows for that, as well as having the Unaware Clef, as well as having the Drapion, which does resist Superior's stab. So the only thing on my team that really lures in Superior now is the Slowbro. Ice Beam on Slowbro prevents it from switching in for free, as I'm going to probably click Ice Beam in any situation where there's a good chance he might go into it. So that's the team. Yeah, man, I gotta shake out these nerfs before the battle. We haven't played yet, but I do want to let you know it is going to be a post-com, and it's all going to be in the same video, I think. So yeah, it's going to be post-com this time because the battle does have a lot of significance for my playoff chances and just the caliber of opponent that I'm facing this week in Schady. I just think my full attention needs to be dedicated to the game instead of to trying to live comment. So don't worry, my post-coms are okay too, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the battle. I'll be right back with the results for you. Alright, and here we are with the battle against Schady and the Bayern Mewnich. And as you can see here from the team preview, he did decide to bring the Glalie, the Seismitoad, Mega Charizard X, Jirachi, Superior, and Tapu Fini. So 5 of those mons are not surprising at all. This the Seismitoad, Mega Charizard X, Jirachi, Superior, Tapu Fini. Not a surprise at all. I thought those were pretty much 100% coming. The one that was a little bit unexpected was the Glalie here, as the only real reason to bring Glalie against my team, there's 2 reasons. One would be to spam Ice Shard against my team, as two of my biggest offensive threats, being Diggersby and Thunderous, are both weak to priority ice shards, so I can certainly see that as a means of keeping those in check. The other reason would be to spike stack, and looking at his team, it really looks to me like the Seismitoad is going to be a rocker, it looks like the Glalie is going to be a spiker, and it looks to me like that's basically his game plan, is to spike stack on me and then try to win with the likes of Zard, Jirachi, and Superior. So looking at the team composition, I don't really think he is a Rain Dance Seismitoad, and that is worth noting with some of the plays that I make here in this game. I'm still going to respect the fact that it could be a Rain Dance Seismitoad by keeping certain mons healthy throughout the game, but I do not think he's Rain Dance. I think he could be offensive. He certainly could be offensive, but I think he is Stealth Rocks. I don't think the Jirachi will be a Stealth Rocker in this game, though it's possible. I really think that Substitute Calm Mind is a better set, or maybe just straight up Calm Mind, as that does do well against the majority of my team, maybe with Never Ending Nightmare as his Z Crystal for this matchup. The Superior, obviously a big threat, but I do have the triple scarves to help keep that in check. But you know, we're going to go ahead and jump on into this. So my lead in every situation, no matter what he brought, was going to be Diggersby, because what Diggersby does is Diggersby prevents Charizard from doing anything immediately, just in case he's some sort of gimmicky Charizard set with a way to deal with my Slowbro. For example, if he's Belly Drum, I wouldn't want to lead with something like my Thunderous or my Decidueye, because if he's able to set up a Belly Drum immediately on either of those two, I'm pretty much forced to go hard into my Slowbro there, and that's just a hard time, because I definitely die at a +6 outrage. So my lead was definitely going to be the Diggersby here no matter what, and with that, let's go ahead and hop on into this and see how this battle goes down, as I somewhat expect him to maybe lead with the Glalie if it is a Spike Stacker, but there's a decent chance he could also try to lead with the Charizard. So Diggersby does cover both relatively well, and there's no way that even a banded Glalie can OHKO my Diggersby unless he gets a crit, so I'm willing to take that risk here on turn 1. So I'm going to lead with Diggersby, as he does lead with the Glalie, so I am kind of expecting him to maybe go for an Ice Shard, but more likely just go for the Spikes on turn 1, but he does go for the Ice Shard here, I guess expecting me to be Choice Scarf and you turn out on this turn. So good play on his end, as I'm going to be able to get off some pretty important damage on this Glalie, as what that does is that puts it in range of a lot of other things on my team. So I should be able to revenge it with really anything, but I do want to try to take this as an opportunity to maybe get up my own hazards, as he doesn't, his only hazard removal here, considering he did not bring the Skuntank, is the Tapu Fini, and considering it looks like he wants to hazard stack against me, getting my own hazards up at the same time will pressure the Tapu Fini to defog if that happens to be what is one of his moves. But he does actually reveal the taunt here, which kind of shuts down my whole hazard strategy, which is kind of unfortunate, but what he's going to be able to do is get off a layer of spikes as a fire off a Moonblast, thinking it probably has a good chance to kill, but he does barely survive here, so little unfortunate. That just reveals that I think that means he's adamant or not special defense dropping nature. Might be wrong on that, but that's just my assumption, I guess. But here he's actually able to get up a second layer of spikes, so I could have actually gone for my Twinkle Tackle there just to make sure he wasn't able to get up 2 layers of spikes, but I felt it was more important for me in the long run to maintain the Twinkle Tackle as a means of doing more damage to the Superior, or as a means of doing more damage to the Zard, just in case my Slowbro is heavily pressured by his team. So here, unfortunately, because I'm taunted, I'm not able to click Encore, which would have been my play otherwise, as he's likely going for a Calm Mind or a sub here, but I'm going to go hard into my Thunderous, expecting the Substitute, or maybe some sort of Steel move if he wants to just attack turn 1 instead of trying to set up, but he does set up. Now here, I'm kind of forced out, just in case he is Culver Berry with Psychic. I don't want to lose this thing to 2 attacks, so I'm going to just switch. I could have U-turned, I probably should have U-turned. A little bit of a misplay there, but not the end of the world. So I'm going to go into this, expecting him to go for a Psychic, and he actually just goes for a T-Bolt, or feeling he probably doesn't have Psychic, so I just took a ton of damage with my Drapion for really no reason. I don't know. I still think it was my best play, because Drapion was mainly there to either get up T-Spikes or to switch into Skuntank, and I'm just not going to be able to get up T-Spikes at this point in the game, which does suck. If I just played that a little bit better, I could have gotten my T-Spikes up and maybe been able to pressure down the Finny a bit better late game, but maybe a minor misplay there on my end, but not the end of the world. I think I should be able to recover from it, as now I'm going to go into my Decidueye, knowing that unless he has a Z move, he shouldn't be able to OHKO me with anything at +1, because Decidueye's natural bulk and its special defense is pretty darn high, as I'm going to do well over half with a Spirit Shackle, and he reveals the Z move, so I'm dying here, and we'll see what kind of Z move it is, as I believe it ended up being Corkscrew Crash, powering up a Flash Cannon. So that's kind of unfortunate, as now I'm going to be in a position where I'm actually down 5 to 4, having lost 2 mons to this Jirachi, which is a little bit of a threat at this point in the game. Fortunately, I do have 2 Scarvers to still be able to revenge it. I don't think it's quite in range of my Thunderous at this point in the game, because it does have the +1 special defense boost from the Calm Mind, so I am actually forced to go into my Diggersby, and here I have to keep a very close eye on the hazards damage, as what this damage means, if I was 2 HP higher, I would have 2 switch-ins to spikes. I only have 1 switch into spikes here, so I'm forced to click Earthquake. I can't click U-turn and try to get momentum, so Earthquake is my play here, especially because he doesn't have any switch-ins for it. He didn't bring the Rotom or the Aerodactyl, so I thought that was pretty interesting prep, not bringing either of his immunities to Earthquake here in this game. But here he's going to go into a Seismitoad, and like I said at team preview, I really expect this to be a rocker, and just looking at the threat the Thunderous could be to his team, I fully expect him to go for Stealth Rocks on this turn, so I make a very ballsy play and stay in here, and that damage definitely reveals that he is offensive Seismitoad. Fortunately, he has Stealth Rocks and doesn't go for Rain Dance on that turn, and I'm going to actually be able to 2-hit KO this thing, catching him going over predicting and going for Stealth Rock there, thinking long term for the Thunderous. So that worked out pretty well. And now we're actually really back in the front. We have a very good chance to win this game now, considering his switch-ins to Diggersby are very limited. All I really need to do is to weaken this Superior and weaken the Tapu Fini down to about 50%, and Earthquake can sweep. So that is the game plan right now, trying to win with Diggersby. So now I'm going to switch into my Thunderous hard, because I do expect him to go for a Leaf Storm or potentially a substitute. Either way, what I plan to do is go for a U-turn immediately here after this Leaf Storm, because what that'll do is that'll either break the substitute, putting him in range of my Diggersby's return, assuming he's not like super bulky, or it'll do enough damage to where he's in range of Diggersby's return, meaning that I should be able to actually spam return as well if I'm able to weaken the Mega Charizard X a bit further as well. So here, just going to go for the U-turn into my Clef, expecting him to either go for a Dragon Pulse or a potential Hidden Power, as I should be able to easily chew that, considering I am an unaware variant, despite all the damage I'm taking here from Spikes and Stealth Rock, as I am unaware. But here, he just goes with Hidden Power, probably Fire? I'm not sure. It might be Fire for Registeel. That makes some sense. I think it's probably Fire. But I chew it up like it's nothing. So here he actually makes a nice play and goes for Taunt, expecting me to maybe try to get my Rocks again. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to click my Twinkle Tackle here, because he could either switch into his Tapu Fini, he could switch into his Mega Charizard X, or he could stay in. Either way, it takes a ton of damage. It helps put him in range of Diggersby plus Thunderous. That's the game plan, and I just felt this was overall my best play. And if he wasn't very heavily invested in bulk, it was a very good chance to be able to take out Superior from the range it was at. I think it's kind of hard to tell on Wi-Fi, obviously, but it really did look like it was going to be in range of Twinkle Tackle, but he does survive, revealing that he has a lot of bulk on this Superior, which is a little unfortunate, as now he's going to be able to weaken my Clef a bit further. I'm not going to be able to get quite as much recoil off on him, off on the Mega Charizard X from a Flare Blitz, if that's how he chooses to revenge me. This also means that I'm probably in range of Tapu Fini, so he made a good play there for sure. And good prep, obviously, and having enough bulk to be able to take the Twinkle Tackle from that range. So down goes the Superior as I take it out with the following Moonblast, and here he goes into his Zard. Now here, my play is to go hard into my Mega Slowbro, because what that does is if he goes for a Swords Dance, he doesn't outspeed Diggersby. If he goes for a Dragon Dance, Mega Slowbro can take any one hit and can slack off on the following turn. And then if I'm able to get rid of the Zard or sufficiently weaken the Zard, I can clean with Diggersby as soon as he takes out my Mega Bro, as Diggersby should be able to do a ton of damage to a lot of his team from this stage in the game, basically. And also with the Thunderous in the back, the combination of Thunderous Diggersby certainly can win at this point if he decides to go all in with Zard here in the form of Belly Drum, Swords Dance, whatever he tries to go for. He actually goes for Dragon Dance, as I'm going to just Mega Evolve and click Slack Off, as it's overall my best play, just in case he wants to lock himself into Outrage here, as if I don't go for Slack Off, if I just go straight for a Foul Play on that turn, he might be able to take me out with 2 Outrages. So Slack Off was definitely my play here. And now, because he actually made a really good play and switching into Fini instead of going for the damage, this game got really interesting here, as it's going to come down to whether or not I can get enough damage on this Tapu Fini with my Mega Slowbro in order to get it in range of my Diggersby, as my Thunderous is choice locked. It's not going to be able to 1v1 both Zard and Fini with one move. It has to be able to switch up moves to be able to do that, so I am heavily relying on Diggersby, which only has 1 switch in left. So this is really coming down to the wire here, as he gets the special attack drop with the Moonblast, which sucks a lot, because this would have otherwise done probably 25 to 30% to this Fini. Instead, it does about 15 to 20%, 20%. So special attack drop really significant there, as otherwise I could have gone for 2 of them instead of going for slack off on this turn. I go for slack off here because I'm seeing, okay, I'm not doing enough damage now thanks to the special attack drop, so now he gets to taunt me as I slack off. Otherwise I would have just been spamming Psyshock here to get enough damage on this to win. So that special attack drop sucked a lot, as now he's going to get more health back from leftovers. So I'm going to switch into my Clefable and sack it off, as what that does is that allows me to play another mind game with slack off versus Psyshock versus this. I'm trying to catch him going for a taunt as I go for Psyshock, so I get that crucial damage off on the Finny, putting it in range of 2 Earthquakes. So my game plan now, looking way down the road, is to try to win a 50-50 coming up soon, which you will see. So I'm not going to spoil it quite yet, though you might already see it coming if you're following me well what's going on here. But I'm going to go into my Mega Slowbro here, fire off into the Psyshock, hoping that he goes for taunt or at least doesn't drop my special attack with another Moonblast. Please don't drop my special attack, as long as he doesn't drop my special attack or goes for a taunt here, he is in range of 2 Earthquakes guaranteed. Here he goes for the Moonblast, so he wins that 50-50. Good on him, as I do get special attack drops. So awesome. Alright, so now it's not looking good at all, okay? So now he's likely, after the leftovers recovery, not going to be in range of 2 Earthquakes. So we could just lose this game now on the 2 special attack drops, which would be pretty unfortunate for sure. As now I am obviously going to sack my Mega Bro. I think I just click Psyshock here again just in case he decides to stay in and not attack me for some reason. But obviously, Mega Bro goes down here. I'm going to go into my Thunderous on this next turn, as what that does is that forces a 50-50, in that if I go for Thunderbolt and he kills me with Moonblast, then he's in range of Diggersby's Earthquake. If he goes into the Mega Charizard X as I click Thunderbolt, he sets up a DD and wins. If I click U-turn as he goes into Mega Charizard X, I go into Diggersby and have a chance to win this game with rolls versus the Finny. I knew he was going to go into a Zard because of the fact that he was able to drop my special attack and stay potentially out of range of 2 Earthquakes. So U-turn was definitely my play here, as I'm going to be able to catch him going into Zard, go into my Diggersby for the last time. I have no more switch-ins to spikes here, and I'm going to live on very little HP, as you'll see here very soon. And now it just comes down to rolls, essentially. So he could either choke and leave his Charizard in here. I go for Earthquake versus this, and then go for Thunderbolts with my Thunderous, but he's too good of a player for that. He's going to go hard into his Finny, hoping that I don't get the roll to get a 2-hit KO on this. As he sets back up the Misty Surge, we'll see how much this first Earthquake does to him, as this is just fully dependent on whatever kind of investment he has, as he reveals with this damage to definitely be calm. There's a chance to win this game. There's definitely a chance. And as you can see here with the following Earthquake, will be able to get the roll. It looks like I need nearly a max roll to be able to pull this off. Will the Tapu Fini go down? Yes. So Diggersby is going to be able to pick up the game here, knock out the Tapu Fini, and then destroy the Mega Charizard X, and the Toronto Staraptors are going to pick up a very, very close 2-0 victory over the Bayern Munich. So great game, Schady. That was a game. That was a game for sure. Definitely my closest match, probably my closest match so far in the PPL, even though the Week 2 game against Electric Storm was very close as well. I really felt like this one came down to the wire just as much, and with really all the mind games going on in this game, I do think it was probably a better game overall. It was just very, very good, and it was fun to be a part of for sure. So fortunately, we don't drop to 2-3. We're now a 3-2 team, +2 differential, so we're back up near the top of the standings again. Fortunately, we're not really in a rut at all. We're only 1 game out of first place right now. I believe there's only 1 team currently that is 4-1, while we're 3-2, along with several other teams that are 3-2. So very, very close here in the standings. Not out of it at all. This was a huge win, considering Schady was probably the top title contender outside of Ruby, who's currently 4-1. But sorry if that was a spoiler. But yeah, so we won this game. Next week we have, actually it's in 2 weeks, so I probably should mention that. So there's actually a break week here for the PPL this next week. We're taking a week off to help people catch up on games. I guess there's been some people who haven't been able to finish their games on time. So this next week is a break week, so don't expect an upload from me for this next Monday because of the break week. So you'll see my next upload then for PPL coming up here in 2 weeks, where we'll be taking on Kelly Under the Radar and his Maryland Torque Terrapins. That is a game I'm looking forward to as well. Really having the 2 of the 3 games that I've most been looking forward to here in back-to-back weeks. The other one being against Monotui later in the season. But really excited for that one too. He's got a threatening team. He's got the Mew, Kieran Black, Suicune, Fortress, Darmanitan, all kinds of these crazy threats. So it'll be fun. It'll be a challenge, but definitely looking forward to it as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy, and I will see you all in 2 weeks with PPL content. Might have something else in the interim. We'll see on that. But thanks for watching, guys. Peace.